I first got started in property when I was at university. Little to no money, and fortunately, my mum, my sister, and my girlfriend at the time, but now my wife, loaned me £1,000. But I've now gone on to own a property portfolio and several six-figure property businesses servicing £6 million worth of property each year. I share not to brag, but to share what's possible with some grit, perseverance, and well-executed strategies. So in this video, I'm gonna share the biggest mistakes I see many wannabe investors do, powerful traits you need to succeed, and several strategies you could focus on if you have around £20,000 to £25,000 or less. But here's the biggest issue I see many wannabe investors do, and I did it too, suffering from shiny penny syndrome. I'd go from one thing to another, be distracted by every new exciting method or strategy. Maybe I saw it on YouTube, maybe a friend shared it with me, or maybe a friend of a friend of a friend. You know the gist. But honestly, it led to little to no traction, me losing money, and just feeling overwhelmed with little results to show for it. But here's what changed. We all have God-given talents that come naturally to us, or skills we've developed through experience. And after speaking to several millionaires in property and business, there's a common trait I see that they've all implemented: focus. I started to focus on the talents and skills that lit me up, and I chose a property method that gave me the best chance to shine. For me, that was negotiating and numbers. And then I just simply built a system around me that catered for my weaknesses. And that's why one of my businesses today is to help negotiate and find the right numbers to build a property portfolio for myself and clients. It's called the Inner Circle Portfolio Builder, and you can learn more by just checking the links and descriptions below. But maybe you've got skills or talents in organizing, speaking, or people management. You then pick the property strategy that allows you to shine. And so even if you had some knocks on the way, you would remain undeterred and would keep pressing forward, and forward. And now let's get into the different methods you can choose from with £20,000 to £20,000 or less to start. These are all methods I have experience with. So to really demonstrate the capability of building a property business with £20,000 to £25,000 or less, let's look at the whole value stream of property investing, and then we'll dissect the different opportunities. So really we can break it down into 5 areas. 1 is finding. 2 is conveyancing, i.e. legals. 3 is refurb. 4, design. And 5, lettings. So those are the 5 key areas in the value chain of property investing. So now let's deep dive into the specific strategies that apply that you can benefit at any one of those stages in the stream. And one of those options could be being a referral. A lot of businesses and investors make their money simply by referring. So let's say you're looking for car insurance. You type in car insurance into Google and you get a ton of websites all referring different insurance providers. If you pick one of those and choose an insurance policy, that website will get a referral fee. And it's the same with property. Maybe you know of someone who wants to invest in property. Maybe it's a friend or family member. They have the capital, but maybe they don't have the time or knowledge to do it themselves. And so you just simply come along and refer a property professional. Obviously, assuming you've done your due diligence and checked on that professional. And if that friend or family member decides to go ahead with that professional would in turn give you a referral commission. And this could be a really nice way to earn £200 to £500 for little to no work. You know, all you may have had to do is send maybe an introduction email or make a call or 2. And personally, as a company, we get tons of referrals each and every week from past clients, their friends, and the like. Here's 3 things you can do now to get started. So number 1 is finding a reliable investor. You know, someone who's actively buying properties, or maybe they're finding properties for investors. You want to be doing your due diligence. How long have they been in practice? How long have they been working with certain clients? Have they got case studies and proof? You want to just make sure that they're reliable, so you're not referring effectively a dodgy person. And number 2 is vet them and their services. Similar to what I shared in point number 1, go above and beyond to make sure that whoever you refer, you're confident that they can deliver. And number 3 is where you can really come into your element. You know, networking with friends, family, local business or property networking groups. Find those people that are in need of help, and if you've got a solution like a really reliable professional property person, then you can then go ahead and refer them. Next up is similar to being a referrer, you could actually become a property bird dog. This name really derives from the USA, where you just go a step further than being a referrer. So it's where maybe you found a property seller or a property that could fit a criteria of a property investor, and you effectively find and gather the owner's details and pass them on to a reliable property investor who wants to go ahead and buy that property. You wouldn't necessarily get involved in negotiations, you'll just refer it over. That investor would then do negotiations, and assuming they go ahead and buy it, everyone wins. The seller wins, the investor wins, and ultimately you also win too. And in fact, a lot of letting agents we work with, they don't do sales. They don't want to get into selling property. They have little to no time or aspiration to do so. So instead, they have maybe landlords that have said to them that they want to sell, or they know other people who are looking to sell, and they just refer them to us, and we buy it for ourselves or for our clients. And we gratefully pay nice commissions for those who do so. If you own a car, a bicycle, or like to walk, you can just go around your local area and look out for empty properties. They're quite easy to find and identify. The front garden looks overgrown, the bins haven't been taken out for a while, or literally when you look at the door frames or the window frames, they're already old and flaky and look like they're in need of a scrub or clean or even painting. So there's really clear, identifiable ways to see that, the property is empty. It might be even the case that, you might be a bit more observant and you look inside the property and there's no furniture at all. Let's say now you found that empty property, you'll take some pictures, you'll find the address, and then that would take a matter of a few minutes. You'd log it, and then the third step would find an investor who will do all the work. You provide them the pictures, you provide them the address, and they take it from there. And as I mentioned, we get this a lot from letting agents, but also we have a few members in our local community who find those properties for us, and then we reach out to those sellers, and in many cases, we find a solution that works for all. So the last two strategies are really nice, easy options for you to get your feet wet into property, only spending a few hours here and there a week. But maybe you want to do a little bit more and really get stuck into property. So the next few strategies are gonna allow you to do just that. There are over 3 million landlords and property investors in the UK, and that's growing. But one of the challenges they almost all suffer from is a lack of time and a lack of experience. If we start with time, it's the time to do the viewings, negotiate, deal with rejection upon rejections, following up, nurture relationships, and marketing for different property investment opportunities. And the lack of experience is about knowing what to do, what to look for, the experience finding the right property, finding the right investment patch, and even experience of dealing with the different property regulations which are increasing month upon month and year upon year. And so a great way to really get into property is to become a property sourcer. Maybe work with time poor investors or those lacking in experience who really value your time and experience. And so you can earn somewhere between £4,000 to £8,000 doing so. Although note, the amount will vary from area to area and your experience levels as well. I wouldn't be looking out for you if I didn't share the following. If you're gonna do property sourcing, you want to make sure you are compliant. So it's going to cost you a few £1,000s to get set up, but it's going to save you so much more in terms of potential penalties you can experience. So let's make this practical for you, and here's 3 steps to get started today. Number 1 is know your area. I know of people who are interested in property sourcing and they try to go too wide, across the whole of the UK. But actually you want to have an opposite mindset, is know your area. Pick a smaller geographical location. Maybe it's the area that you live in or an area that you have some experience. Maybe you went to university there or your holiday there or something alike. Pick your area and know it really well. What's up and coming, what infrastructure investments are there, what's the tenant demand, are prices on the rise. Just really know it inside out, because then you're gonna have that expertise and credibility to stand out. And number 2 is similar to knowing your area, narrow down and remain focused. Pick one strategy. I was speaking to a mentee of mine yesterday, and actually they were looking to go after every other strategy that they could, when actually all they need to be doing, because it's the first time they're stepping into property, is focus on one strategy and do it really well. You look around in business, a lot of successful businesses do one thing really, really well, repeatedly, day after day. And that's where you get the real optimization and gain. And the third thing is to find and nurture strong relationships with investors. Start maybe with your family, your friends, or work colleagues. this is already the first place that you can find your first couple investors who can really support you on your property sourcing journey. On average, 1 out of 3 properties sold did not actually get to the finish line and complete. That's 30%. And recent statistics show that that's jumped to nearly 45%. Nearly 1 out of 2 don't complete. A key factor in this is the legal and conveyancing aspect. You know, there's things that come up with lenders, the title, other weird and surprising things. Not many estate agents or property sources have the experience and know-how to really overcome those issues. So if you like legals, are organized, are an active problem solver, and don't mind being the bad cop so things can really get done, then this could be a great way to make money in property. So to do so, you'd become a sales progression expert and outsource your services to estate agents and sources and like. When you do so, you can earn between £200 to £1,000 doing so per property completed. And yes, that will vary from location to location. The higher the value of the property, the higher the potential fee to you. So let's make this practical for you, and here's 3 things you can do now to get started. Number 1 is find property companies or property sources doing around 2 to 5 or more property investment deals a month. The reason being is that they can consistently give you a number of flow of deals to work on, and also they'll have the capital and free cash flow to outsource the work to you as well. So find those companies that are regularly doing property deals every single month. Number 2, if this is the first one that you're doing, I personally would recommend doing it for free or giving a heavily discounted trial. It allows you to learn whilst you're going, iron out the kinks, and gain more confidence in your services. And number 3, I would then become the best you can be so that they're begging to work with you. You know, if you're going and working with companies where their average fallout rate is 50%, you come along and you then bump that to 80%. That's extra money in their back pockets that they can more than afford to keep you on, and you would then have a regular flow of business doing work that you're passionate about. So moving on to the next stage. So I've shared earlier on how my talents and joy really lie in negotiating numbers. Well, I'll be honest, the opposite rings true when it comes to refurbishments. So I personally project over 30 refurbs of different sizes, and it was no fun. It requires a lot of factors like managing builders, contractors, regulations, and more. But refurbishments are an area that is almost always needed when it comes to property investment transactions. From changing carpets, upgrading kitchens, to maybe back-to-back renovations. But this is a great way to build up your financial pot. You can charge 10 to 15% of the refurb cost. So let's just start out with a smaller refurbishment. Let's say it was £10,000. You could be earning around £1,000 to £1,500 on something you really enjoy. And if we scale up a bit more, and let's say it's a full HMO renovation where the property's been taken back brick to brick, maybe there's adding additional layers, some en suites, a rear and side extension. Let's say the refurbishment came up to £100,000. You could be earning £10,000 to £15,000 for project managing that refurbishment from start to finish. So here's 3 steps you can take today to get started. So number 1 is find good, solid builders and contractors. So if you're already doing some type of property, maybe you're doing a refurbishment on your house, you might already have some reliable builders. Or if you want to go a step further, go out there and find builders who are working on active projects. You know, drive around, see what they're doing, take their details. Or step further is go into building merchants or plumbing merchants and ask them for their recommendations. They can then provide you with their contact details. You can reach out to them, go to their sites and vet what they do. That's going to be a really good starting point for you. So number 2 is create a service sheet showing the experience you have and case studies. So if you've already got 1 or 2 or 3 kind of refurbishment projects, maybe it's even only on your house, demonstrate that in a clear, nice brochure. Or if you haven't got any experience in doing so, maybe go and case study the work of other builders that you're going to have on your team. You know, lean on their experience to demonstrate the experience that the investor wants to see. Number 3 is find local investors or property sources or agents who are in need of project managers. You know, you can go along the high street and walk into agents. You might find other investors at networking groups, or a step further is go and find architects who are actively going to be providing work for builders, for investors, and try and create a partnership there for yourself. I really saw the power of the method I will share about 5 years ago. At the time I was project managing several refurbishments. I was getting stuck with and on how best to achieve the maximum rents. So I bought a pack of pre-made interior design packs. These included pictures, the type of paint to use, furnishings, lights, and even where to go to buy these items. When I implemented them, our houses really stood out from the crowd. So there was no more magnolia wall colors or brown carpets, but bright modern finishes that had queues of tenants really interested. So a great method to make money in property is to be an interior designer. This works really well for brand new HMO renovations, properties that have been bought by investors to be refurbished and then to be sold on, or even brand new ground up properties. The finish and furnishings are the wow factors that can make or break a property. And so you can expect to look to earn around £1,000 to £1,000 per property. That's a really low risk, high return amount of money to make for something that you're really passionate about. And so here's 3 things you could do now to really get started in building your interior design property business. Number 1, create a service sheet showing your experience and case study. And experience always make you stand out. And that is what's going to help attract people to want to use your services. But number 2, reach out to property networking groups. You know, they're going to have loads of local investors coming together, networking, and you could be reaching out to those investors, looking for those who have properties coming up. Maybe they've just been recently refurbished and they're ready to rent, or maybe they're looking to sell that. In both instances, your services will be really needed. Number 3 is give away a free guide that they can work from, or even offer to do the work for them. Remember, I paid hundreds of pounds for the guide that I use. Imagine now giving away a free guide that they can work from. They're gonna see so much value from that. It's gonna be hard not to want to use your services. So I've touched on quite a lot of the start and middle part of the value chain and how you can make thousands of pounds in doing so. Now let's look at another key element, which is the letting side, and go into a lot more detail. Firstly, property management. We own a property management company and it can be very lucrative when done right. So you focus on helping landlords find and let their properties. This works really well if you can find corporate tenants that will then rent the property long term, maybe 2 to 5 years, because then it's a win-win for everyone. The landlord wins because they're gonna get consistent rent over a period of time. You win because actually when you have these type of tenants, they're actually lower maintenance tenants, so there's actually less work for you to get involved with. Now the downside is to really make this work for you, you need the numbers. Working from 100+ units, because when you're working at anything less than that, it can be a struggle to make it profitable for you and build a business. So this isn't an overnight play, but the benefit is that you create a business that is sellable and becomes an asset. Next is to take property management to the next level, and it comes with far higher returns in exchange for a lot more risk. And this is rent to rent. You rent the property from the landlord, guaranteeing the rent, in exchange for you renting it out for a higher rent, say as a house of multiple occupancy, renting it room by room, or as a renting it daily as a short-term serviced accommodation. And the positive thing is that you could be earning £500 plus renting it as a HMO, or more as a serviced accommodation. The thing to be aware of is that HMOs have tenants staying long term, so you can get predictable income, while serviced accommodation, you have guests coming in every few days or every couple of weeks, so the income can be unpredictable, but over a year period, you could actually look to make a little bit more in margin. Summer typically being the better season and winter being the lower season with regards to demand. So over a 12-month period, they kind of level each other out, so you get a kind of a good baseline on what the income is over that period of time. So here's 3 things you could do now to get started. Number 1 is get compliant with all documentations and registrations in place. You don't want to fall foul here because you're creating a business, be it rent to rent, be it as a property management company, and there's certain protocols you need to be putting in place. And you want to have them so you can mitigate against any fines or reputational damage. Number 2 is find your goldmine area. Where you're going to focus and build this business. The deeper you go, the more knowledge you'll have to then, when a deal comes up or an opportunity comes up, you know what you can do and how to make money from that. Number 3 is promote, and network. The more marketing and the more networking you do, the more opportunities that you can come across your desk for management or for rent to rent, and that's gonna grow your business accordingly. So putting it all together, I've shown you the different stages of the value stream, and actually you can actually choose to do all 5 of them: finding, conveyance and refurb, design and lettings. And here at Property Result Investments, we do all of that for our clients and ourselves. We've got a great team with loads of experience doing it, finding properties, making sure they get through legals, project managing the refurbishments, and where interior design is needed, applying it, and making sure the property is let as quickly and as profitably as possible. So bringing it all together, you could then turn into a larger business that does that for your clients, like we do for ours. So I hope you found this video valuable, and I wish you the best of luck with growing your investment pot.